Good evening, all. Good evening. All right, let's see what there is to talk about today. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well, please, to like and share the vids. All right, Claresa Shields fights tomorrow. The female GOAT, the greatest woman fighter of all time. Probably is. Yeah, there's not much interest in her fight, which is a shame. I mean, it's a massive, massive shame. I mean, yeah, it's on pay-per-view as well, so it's not going to get a lot of the casual eyes on it. No wonder she's fucking trying MMA. No wonder, because I don't think she's getting much love from boxing. I think this girl's a bit special, and I think she's got a personality. There's not enough. There's just not enough competition out there for her. It's that simple. I mean, she's begging that Cecilia Braekhus wins, and then there's some sort of catchweight fight they can do. But even that, it's not a big fight. I mean, it's a big fight because there's going to be so many belts on the tables and whatever, but it's just not a big fight. It's not a fight that gets people excited. It's just, yeah, I don't know, man. They need to work harder in female boxing. They need to, like, the way, and it's not even Dana White. A lot of people say it was Dana White that kind of pushed female MMA. Yeah, he took it to another level, but I mean, before Dana White, there was that fight between Gina Carano and Cyborg. I don't know if you guys know this. I think that was put on by, it might have been Scott Coker. So it might have been Strikeforce. And then even in Strikeforce, there was a fight between Ronda Rousey and a girl called Misha Tate. It was then that Dana White got excited and took it to another level. And he's taken it to another level. I mean, some of the female fights are massive, but they're not in boxing. They're just not. So, yeah, Claresa Shields fighting tomorrow. I am probably going to watch it just to support her. I'll probably buy the pay-per-view, but it's a shame, man. It's a shame. Let's hope she can get the win and then see what happens from there. Whether or not the next fight is an MMA fight, we'll see. If I'm her, I think Claresa Shields is what? 24, 25? She's pretty young. If I'm her, honestly, what I do is I just set myself a timetable to get to the UFC. That's what I do. She's obviously, I'm about to swear there, a phenomenally good striker. And she needs to work on her ground game and a bit of wrestling. And if I'm her, I say, you know what, for 2 years, I'm going to work on everything I can when it comes to jiu-jitsu and grappling. But doesn't need that much wrestling. Jiu-jitsu and grappling, because she's got fantastic stand-up. And we'll see where it takes me, because boxing isn't going to take her anywhere. It isn't. She ain't going to make the money she wants to do, and she isn't going to get the fame she deserves. I wasn't even going to drink tonight, but I'm drinking because Liverpool just stressed the hell out of me. Stressed the hell out of me, so we're having a drink. This is a rum called Old Navy. Pretty good, pretty strong as well. It's lovely. All right. Joseph Parker, I saw this story today, parts ways with longtime head trainer Kevin Barry. First and foremost, I want to say well done to that team. I mean, a lot of people are going to... Look, I'm going to get to where I want to get to in a minute, but let's congratulate them on what they achieved. I mean, Joseph Parker became a world champion with Kevin Barry. Kevin Barry took Joseph Parker, I think it was after his 5th or 6th fight, and took him to become a world champion. They've done pay-per-view events. They've had big fights together, and you've got to congratulate the success they've had. But all good things come to an end, and I think it was time that Joseph Parker moved on to pastures new, a new trainer, new ideas, a new voice in the corner. But I've watched Parker a lot, and for me, he's just not aggressive enough. He's not aggressive. He has it in like little 10-second, 20-second bursts, but there is so much he needs to work on. The raw talent's there. That talent is why I've always said he was a top 10 heavyweight in the world. I watched that fight against Junior Farr, and I was like, my God, this guy's not a top 10 anymore. He's starting to fade a little bit. And I just think at, 29? I think he's still quite young like that. At 29, there's a lot of time for someone to work with him so he can, again, get back in that mix. I know he's like, well, they're trying to get the fight with Chisora, and that's all well and good, but I'm talking about a mix above Chisora. No disrespect to Chisora, but I'm talking about that mix of the winner, Hergovich, Hunter. Do you know what I mean? I'm talking that mix. And I just don't think Kevin Barry's the man for him. Again, he's far too passive in fights for me. I saw it against Anthony Joshua. I know a lot of people said, oh, the referee broke things up every time he got close. He wasn't going to do anything when he got close anyway. I mean, there were so many times in the clinch on that fight against Junior Farr where he just wasn't doing anything. He was just waiting for the referee to come and break things up. He started far too slow against Dillian White. He wasn't even aggressive against Hughie Fury. Don't get me wrong, Hughie Fury ran around a little bit, but again, you're a world champion. I expect more. So look, I think it's a good decision. And that's not me being disrespectful to Kevin Barry. I've just given him my respect. I mean, Kevin Barry took him to a world title. Kevin Barry took him to defense of that world title. Good fights and big fights later. So there's no disrespect to Kevin Barry, but it's gone past its sell-by date. He needs a trainer that's going to let him fight on the front foot. Let him be aggressive. Work on that fitness. Maybe that's a fear, right? Maybe there's this fear factor that he doesn't have the engine to kind of be aggressive and be fast round after round. And I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking for a bit more aggression. Please work on different stuff. I mean, he kept on trying to land this overhand right and he kept on telegraphing it against Junior Farr. And I'm like, God, I mean, Junior Farr ain't a killer. I mean, Junior Farr's good. I think we saw that. Junior Farr's good, got a really long reach, but there needs to be more. There needs to be better head movement. Like, there's so much that he needs to do. And that's what excites me about him. It's almost the Lawrence Okoli thing. Like, there's so much Lawrence Okoli needs to do, but I can still see a very good fighter there. I see a very, very elite level heavyweight with Joseph Parker, a guy that can punch, a guy that's got fast hands. And I'm thinking, can we just add a bit more? Can we add a bit more? And it isn't going to work with Kevin Barry because, again, Kevin Barry's been with him since his 5 fights. What we're seeing now is a Kevin Barry fighter. He needs to get away from that and adopt someone else. Adopt someone else's tactics. I don't know who. I know people are going to sort of throw out the usual names. I don't know. I have no idea who he can work with, but I mean, there are a lot of good trainers out there. I guess it depends where he's going to base himself. If he's going to base himself in the States, then you look there, right? Some people have mentioned Freddie Roach, because Freddie Roach is an aggressive trainer, likes these fighters to be on the front foot, maybe, but there's others out there. Anyone, though, is better than Kevin Barry right now for me. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do think now, though, now that he's looking for a new trainer, I do think that the Derek Chisora fight isn't going to happen until at least August. I mean, we're in March right now. What's it, March 4th? Yeah, 4th of March. There was a lot of talk about this fight with Chisora happening in May. Ain't going to happen. I mean, he's going to take, that's 8 weeks away. Ain't going to happen. He's going to take at least, I don't know, a couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks to look at trainers. What fighters usually do is they go to a trainer and they have a couple of sessions hitting the pads, and you don't just phone up a trainer and then, yeah, I'm with you. No, you go and look at what a trainer can offer you. So you go there, hit a few pads and sit down, ideas. So he might do that in different continents. We'll see. So it's going to take a while, but I mean, that couldn't have been an easy decision. And I wonder if that decision has not just been made by Joseph Parker, but by his promoter as well, Mr. Higgins, because yeah, they would have looked at that performance against Junior Farr and they could not have been happy with that. I'm not having the excuse of I've been out the ring for a year. No, that's just how he fights. So yeah, great decision. We'll see what happens next. A bit here about Claresa Shields seeks an Ann Wolf Vonda Ward knockout of Marie-Eve. Is it Decaire or Decaire? I don't know if you guys do you know who Ann Wolf is? Hopefully you do. She was James Kirkland's trainer as well. One of the first female trainers, or the only female trainer I can think of. I can't think of another female head trainer, especially for an elite level elite level fighter that James Kirkland was at one stage. James Kirkland was legit at one stage. It was so weird to see a female in the corner, but I didn't think anything of it. It was just like, oh, Ann Wolf. But yeah, go and look at the knockout. It's always on YouTube. Big knockout. And I think that's maybe one thing Claresa Shields misses, don't she? I mean, Claresa Shields only had like, I think, is it 12 fights or something like that? Let's have a quick look. But she only got 2 knockouts. I think it might be just 10 fights, you know. Let's have a quick see of her record. Yeah, 10 fights. Only 10 fights as a professional. 2 knockouts. So yeah, there's something that she maybe needs to work on. And that's something that might get her a few more fans if she can get stoppages. Maybe people are just tired of it going to points. Possibly, right? Caleb Plant, Saunders won't lay down versus Canelo. At least not right off the bat. No, he won't. He won't lay down at all. It's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a real good fight, this one, for as long as it lasts. Again, for me, this fight all comes down. Well, no, that's bullshit. It doesn't all come down. But I was going to say it all comes down to Billy Joe Saunders' fitness. Doesn't. Obviously, if Billy Joe Saunders has the gas tank to do what I think he needs to do for 12 rounds, then yeah, we've got a great fight. But let's be real here. Canelo will dictate where this fight goes and where it doesn't go as well. I mean, again, pound for pound, number one. But if Billy Joe Saunders, because I've always watched Billy Joe and I've always felt that his gas tank does run empty. Sort of 7, 8, 9. It just looks, he starts to look a bit tired for me. Other people might not have realised and recognised that, but I think so. But if he's got the gas tank to outbox Canelo for 7 or 8 rounds and then hang on, this could be a good one. This could be a good one. I can't wait for it. Really can't wait for it. I think it's going to be fantastic. Morris Hooker, all the pressure on Virgil Ortiz. I love being the underdog. Yeah, there is pressure on Virgil Ortiz. Obviously, he's the new hot prospect. He's the one that's unbeaten. Everyone's talking about him potentially versus some of the guys at welterweight that, you know, the Errols and the Terence Crawfords of the world. We'll see. Morris Hooker's a good fighter, though. But yeah, all the pressure is on Virgil Ortiz. I'm so upset we didn't get Morris Hooker versus Prograis. I mean, I'm so upset about that. Hergovich's size, power will be too much for Hunter, says Sowland. Yeah, probably. It's not just the size and the power, it's the freshness as well. I mean, you think of some of the fighters that he's fought, and this is Hunter, big heavyweights, like Povetkin, obviously. Povetkin's not big, but, you know, a strong, legit heavyweight. Had a bit of wear and tear on the body, didn't he, Povetkin? Although we saw what he done against Dillian Whyte, so maybe not. But Hergovich is fresh. I mean, there is no wear and tear. I mean, this guy is seek and fucking destroy, man. He is a mean dude. I remember seeing him in Saudi Arabia and interviewing him, and he's just massive as well. Just massive. Like, he is Ivan Drago. He's Ivan fucking Drago. That's who Hergovich is. But, man, I ain't ruling out Hunter at all. At all. I'd probably, in terms of my, like, percentages, I'd probably swing at 60-40 Hergovich, but I ain't sleeping on Hunter. No chance. WBC president, Canelo yielded him situation was created by the pandemic. That's bullshit, but I know what he means, but it's bullshit. I'm not having that. He's basically trying to say that Yildirim, if there wasn't a pandemic, Yildirim would have had a fight within the year or some crap. He's basically trying to say. What the WBC need to do is just sort out their way in which someone can become mandatory. This is actually embarrassing for them. I don't think I've heard Mauricio Suleiman talk so much about a result than this. This was embarrassing, and I think they realise this now. And I don't know how they can sort out their mandatory situation, but they need to look at things like this. It's not just them; it's all governing bodies. I mean, look at the situation with Trevor Bryant and Manuel Charr. I mean, Manuel Charr's been sitting on that fucking number 1, number 2 spot for like 3-4 years. It's a joke. So it's not just Mauricio Suleiman. I like to dig Mauricio Suleiman just because he's probably the most vocal president of one of the sanctioning bodies, but it's all of them. They all need to look at their mandatory situations because it's poor. Parker's manager applies pressure to get Chisora deal done. Let me have a quick read of this. What's Mr. David Higgins saying? Okay, they're basically trying to say that this fight needs to get done now. They're trying to say they want this fight to happen, or there's a date penciled in for 9 weeks' time. So they're basically saying that if this fight happens, it needs to happen now. It needs to be signed now because Joseph Parker needs to leave New Zealand at the end of the week. That's what I'm trying to. It's going to be a tough one because not only does he need to leave New Zealand, he needs to find a new trainer, unless there's a trainer that they've earmarked already. But I don't know, man. It's going to be a rush job. I'm not quite sure. Like, I know the problem is obviously Sky gives them dates. They'll look at a date and okay, this has to happen by that date. I'm not convinced that that fight happens. I really don't think it will happen. I mean, it will happen, but not now. I think it happens probably August, September. That's when I think that fight will happen. A bit here about Fury Joshua. Arum says no more issues outstanding. Deal close. This is it, right? I've gone so like that with this fight. Like it's gonna happen, not gonna happen. What's going on? And I'm not trying to make clickbaity videos. I just don't do those kind of things. But I genuinely just don't know what's going on. I do now, though, having spoken to someone, I'm now firmly in the camp of this fight is 1,000,000,000,000% happening. Okay, now I'll take that back. I'll say 100%. Trillion's a bit much. Calm down, Addy. But I do believe this fight is happening. I think it will happen in either Saudi Arabia or Dubai, I'm hearing, as a possible destination as well. So yeah, the fight is happening. It's just a case of a date being announced. We're going to get AJ versus Fury, man. It's such a shame. Like, as much as I'm excited for it, and I am super excited for it, it still pains my heart that that's not happening at Wembley Stadium in front of 90,000 Brits. Because the atmosphere there would be just... It'd be unbelievable. It would be like a football match. It would be like a football match when they both come out and then Michael Buffer does what he does and then Sweet Caroline is played and and then the people start screaming. It's not going to be the same in Saudi or, look, it's going to happen, we're happy, but it's not going to be the same in Saudi or Dubai. I will say this though, if it is in Dubai, I don't know what stadiums they've got for it, unless they're trying to build one right now. But if it is in Dubai, the Brits will travel. And it literally will be 10% locals, 90% Brits. They will travel and travel and travel for this one. This one will get past, I'm telling you now, don't listen to what anyone says. This one will get over 2 million pay-per-view buys. It will touch 3 million. It will touch, because it will be front page news over here. And we haven't had a boxing event that's been front page news since I don't know when. Can't wait for it. All right, what else have we got here? Have we got anything else before we pack up and go bed? Austin Trout calls for Adrian Broner showdown. Next. What we got here? Eddie Hearn here saying that Saunders is not afraid. No, he knows he must be 100% to beat Canelo. Yet we know that. I think I saw something about an hour ago. I'm filming this, by the way, at 11:15 in the evening. I think I saw something about an hour ago that Devin Haney and Jorge Linares is a done deal. So a quick look. It says, okay, so a bit here on Boxing News saying that Devin Haney and Jorge Linares in advanced talks for May fight. So that's going to happen then. So why was Devin Haney calling out Vasyl Lomachenko? That's what I'm saying about. Devin Haney's calling out Loma on Twitter. Loma said, I don't do Twitter talk. Twitter talk is basically for kids. True, because all these fighters do Twitter talk. I love Devin, because I just think Devin, there's something about Devin that I like. I still want to see him fight someone, but Loma's right. Like, you're calling me out, but now you're agreeing to fight Jorge Linares. Like, what is it? What's going on? But yeah, I think it's a good fight for him. I think the Linares fight makes sense. Although, yeah, I think it's a fight that makes sense for Devin Haney. I think there's still a bit left in Linares, but we'll see what's left. Bit here by Frank Warren saying Fury versus Joshua is very close to being done. It's going to happen, peeps. It's going to happen. All right, we're done. We're done, people. Thank you so much for all the ones that have subscribed. Remember, we go live, unless there's any other big news, we go live Sunday, the usual time at 8:30. Thank you so much. Peace and love.